The most important question I ever got was, what is your legacy? Not a material legacy, but if life stops here, how do you want to be remembered? What is that energy? How do people see you? This podcast series is a result of that question, what is my legacy? A phoenix is burning itself on a funeral pyre and rising from the ashes with renewed youth to live through another cycle. This fertile ash is filled with phoenix frequencies of compassion, love, forgiveness, intuition, wisdom, generosity, resilience, creativity, an evolution and involution. I've been in the ashes. I give voice to my phoenix. I share how I pioneer with ease. That's a lifestyle, a choice. I'm Nienke van Bezooijen, and I welcome you to listen and invite you to rise. A warm welcome to the Phoenix Frequencies. And today I have with me my dear friend, heart ambassador, colleague, and heart buddy in that part, Michael Drummond Davidson, all the way from the USA. Lovely to be here again on the podcast. Welcome, Michael.
Good morning. Good morning. I live in the Mississippi Delta, and people that know the area of the deep Mississippi River, very soft and sensuous this time of year. It's lush, actually, with semi-tropical plants and an early morning special because the sun's not quite up yet. All the colors are very soft and pastel-like. As the turn of the century painters were, they're fauve. Gorgeous.
So, Michael, you said when we had a call the other day together as heart ambassadors, heart buddies, wow, this is a topic for a podcast. I hear a podcast. And we spoke about art. And you create art, I create art, and we created art together when you visited us here in the Netherlands in May, it was. And we did some encaustic art together. So I would love to bring on this podcast, what is a source for creating art? What is a frequency, let's call it that way, in creating art? What do you experience? So let's first start. You are a artist, a heartist, as Honey would call it. So what motivates you to create something, and what do you create?
Okay, great. I tell a brief story. Our heart ambassador teacher, I was working one-on-one with her one time. This was several years ago. And she said, well, tell me something that you told yourself that you couldn't do. You see, because in our work, we look for blocks, things that block us, or we want to create flow in life. We want peace, really. We want love. Well, she says, what are something you told yourself that you couldn't do? I said, that's easy, draw and paint. I'm a mason by trade. I'm a stone mason, Pierre Maison, Steinmetz, whatever your language is. I'm the guy trained as a cathedral builder in Scotland. My earth energies have always been around minerals and stone. In self-growth, and that why we're a member of these communities and why we do this work, is we challenge ourselves about the narratives that we carry around with us that we told ourselves. This is who we are. I don't paint and I don't draw. That's me. So she said, well, why don't you paint and draw? But look, she said, do this for me. I said, what's that? She goes, don't show anybody because they're just going to tell you what you want to hear. And it's really you're not doing this for anybody but yourself. She said, when you work with something you've never done before, you need to make mistakes and you need to learn by them. And they're your mistakes. They're not your wife's mistakes. They're not your friend's mistakes. You need to learn by them.
Is that a intimacy, Michael?
Well, absolutely, because here's what comes up for you. If you have that narrative, can't draw and I can't paint, then you have this self-critic that's always on your shoulders saying, who do you think you are?
Look at that crap. You paint and draw like a toddler. La, 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 la.
Yeah.
It's not beautiful. It's all the not enoughness, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's very curious. So the whole thing she was inviting me to be curious about these narratives. You know, she said, but above all, play. She goes, you did finger paints, didn't you? And I said, oh, yeah. She says, well, were you playing? Yeah. Did they not? They put that on the fridge, didn't they? Yeah. That's it. It's really about learning how to love yourself and becoming aware of the measuring sticks that you carry around. What inspires me the most actually is being around artists that are really good, that tolerate me.
They can soften that inner critic for you. Well,
Yeah.
what I shared with you the other day was I did a painting workshop with my friend Honey from Belgium, and she calls herself a HeArtist. And she's been in the corporate world, and then she really felt she had to flip her life. And what she did, she just looked for colorful things in her house and a very, very gray winter day. And she started to see all kind of colors. And then she wanted to express it, and she found acrylics to work with, and she never stopped. And she invited me to come to one of her workshops in Belgium. And she asked me, what do you want to do? I said, well, I don't mind. I want a blank canvas and see what can happen. Because if I start thinking about what I want to create, oh gosh, I invite my inner critic on my shoulder to be on the workshop with me. And I didn't want that. So Honey is familiar with heart math as well. So we started with what we call a heart lock-in, so a heart meditation. And
Mhm.
from there, we started painting. She started painting as well, but we were standing with our backs towards each other. So we couldn't see what the other one was doing. And actually, I didn't care because I was building a relationship with a blank canvas. Like I'm the creator of whatever comes, and I just wanted to listen to what the blank canvas told me and was inviting me to create. And she said, some people in previous workshop were scared to get dirty hands. So you talked about finger painting. She said, well,
Mhm.
if that is calling you, you use your fingers. Use pencils, use whatever you want, use whatever color you want, and just start doing. So I started to build that relationship with something totally blank canvas.
Mhm.
And a lot of colors came up. I had art lessons and all kind of, even in my school education, I had all kind of techniques, but I never worked with acrylics. So that was new. I'm way more what I call a watercolor person. So it's nice and flowy and soft and blah, blah, blah. But acrylic is like your earthiness. It's bold. It's really standing out. So in my world, I would call it a high masculine quality. And yes, I started to use my fingers, and it created dots. I used brushes. I used everything. And we came back after a while, after lunch, and then I was invited to do other stuff. I painted stuff over until the paper or the canvas said, well, I think this is it. So now it's with me, and I can turn it around in all corners. And every time something else shows up, because it isn't meant to be something, to look like something, I just wanted to be expressed. And I think that's the beauty of art, that you can do it. So for me, and I really want to hear your opinion about this as well, we can sort of recreate something. So have a picture or something and recreate that. And that's art too. But that's also a way of art that you're reproducing something. And my heart goes to creating something without, so to quote, a meaning. So free expression. How do you see that?
Several things came up for me. One is in my book collection, I have a book on Sumi painting. And what's the most important aspect of Sumi painting? The blank space. It's everything.
Do
In-
you dare to be with that? That's the point.
yeah, and try Sumi painting sometimes. It's so zen because you want to add to it and yet using the blank space. It's a great practice. So that's really it. I inherited an old collection of my grandfather was in the newspaper business. So I have tons of newspapers from what they call tabloids, really big headlines, very little news, most of it fake. This is from World War II, so screaming headlines, that kind of stuff. But using that as my easel, I started drawing birds on old newspaper, and then my own style, I guess. Started drawing birds, and I started drawing, painting hieroglyphs that I would see on ancient stonework, that kind of stuff. And then I would preserve, because the newspaper were very old, I would preserve the painting and the newspaper all at one time so that there was longevity to it, because old newspapers can rot out quickly. So what happened there is, by using the old newspaper and using the my own interpretation of wildlife and bird life, that kind of stuff, there is this juxtapose that you see my rendition of birds in flight, and it's on and its background is on dramatic words of invasion, intimate, or Nazis, whatever, and that takes on the background. So what happens here is that you have one thing, and then you have another, and then a third is created.
That's the blank canvas.
Yeah, it could be, and people all have different experiences. You know what I mean? I like that. I like that with mixed media. Some newspapers I did with things I found on the beach: a shell, a bottle cap, a starfish, and I put all these things that I found that day in a grouping on the old newspaper and preserved it. So you have these things that you found in your day, in your experience, on the easel of newspaper, which is quite acceptable as an easel, and then preserving the whole thing.
That's also creating something new with what exists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And how did you experience the encaustic art? Because for the people who don't know, that's in a way creating art with beeswax and a special iron. And you put it on paper, and you can sort of do something deliberately.
It was my first time experiencing that. So, I mean, I was excited. It was just, it's just really exciting the way the colors were so dramatic. And also I didn't have control.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was kind of developing any kind of a technique that got created by accident, because you use a hot iron and the encaustic is a wax, right? That moves. Its color moves. So what happens is almost like where you see these blown up pictures when you drop a drop of ink in water, or a drop of blood in water, is the whole thing runs into its own patterns.
Yeah.
Of which you have no control of.
Well, I think it's not so much control. I think it's allowing the flow.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
then create something. Because if you really want to sort of recreate something exactly copied as it was, that's control. But in a way, if you just let watercolor run or ink run, or ink with salt is also beautiful, just to see what happens, and it flows.
Yeah.
Just as it's meant to be.
I think what I wanted to say, if I wanted to paint a bird with encaustic, it would take a lot of practice.
Yeah. It's a technique. You can do it, and you never know exactly how the bird will turn out. And that's the beauty.
Yeah.
And I think it's in a way what our teacher, Sheva, said, just start and see what comes, because there is nothing to critique, because it just is.
That's right. Exactly. So much fun.
So much fun.
It's fun.
I just want to ask you, for wrapping up, a question what really is near and dear to my heart. In our community, there was also shared beauty is the combination of peace and joy. So coming from the perspective of art, what would you wish for the world to experience from art? Transformation.
Beauty is always becoming a garden in bloom, a brand new baby, a blushing bride. Beauty is always in a state of becomes beautiful. Beauty is in the major arcana of esoterics. It is one of the foundations of transformation. If you can create beauty in yourself, in your garden, with the love that you have for your pets, with your neighbor, you're feeding the field. And it shows. And you'll attract other people that are doing the same.
What I would wish for the world with art is to have an eye for art in all forms and shapes, to see the beauty of a rock, to see the beauty of density dissipation. Just because you can open your heart and you can see the unexpected happening. And that has all elements of art in it at all times. And I wish for all the people who might be suffering that their heart might be filled with art and beauty.
Yeah.
So they can feel nurtured.
And I know we talked about this in classes and stuff, but I've become a big fan of loving yourself and starting there. Because so many of us want to be fixed. We want transformation, and everybody's different, of course. But, you know, we're always looking for transformation on the outside. And one thing that art teaches you, transformation happens on the inside. Love of self happens on the inside. I'm not talking about love of ego. I'm not talking about love of pride. I'm talking about just simple love of self. You go outside, you might have a bucket list. You're in your garden. You have all the different problems that you've got to face. That first thing comes first is like, look where I am. I'm in my garden. I love myself. That gives me strength in which to face all this other stuff.
That's what I wish for everyone.
Yeah.
Anything else what needs to be shared for this?
No, not really. It's just do it. Just do it and have fun. You know, one of the hardest things is to draw the human body and give yourself these exercises of, I take a picture and try and draw that within 60 seconds. But I have a big stack of papers. And it's an exercise that I do 60 seconds. And every one of those, that 60 seconds, I learned something.
The art of doing.
Yeah, I rip it up, throw it out. But I learned something in every single one. And you know what? I can't teach you that. You have to do it. The same goes with self-love. You have to do it. Otherwise, what happens, it becomes a bumper sticker.
Mm-mm.
You know, and we live in a world of bumper stickers. You should be loving other people. You know what I mean? Start with yourself.
Totally agree. And I think I want to add to wrap up is, you know, thank your inner critic for being there, but you don't have to listen to it all the time. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Inner critics are there to keep you awake, and that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Now I move on and I do my 60-second drawings. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Love you.
Yeah, thank you. That's all. Let's keep creating, Michael, in the beauty, what we can create. So thank you so much. And to be continued.
Yeah.